Welcome back, class 10. Continuing with your history class, the United Nations Organization. Today we'll start discussing the principal organs of the United Nations. We'll start with the General Assembly. Composition. All members of the United Nations are members of the General Assembly. That means all the members of the UN are members of the General Assembly. That means all the countries who are the members of the United Nations are the members of the General Assembly. The Assembly must meet once a year in September. Once a year the Assembly must meet, that is in the month of September. In addition to that, special sessions may be convened. Special sessions may be called by the Secretary General at the request of the Security Council or of a majority of the members of the United Nations. A special session can be called by the Secretary General if it is required, and that session would be requested by the Security Council, or if the majority members of the UN wants that a special session has to be convened, it is convened. It is a kind of parliament of nations. It is a kind of parliament in the United Nations organization. It is a sort of a parliament. Each member shall have not more than 5 representatives in the General Assembly. Each country can send maximum 5 member representatives in the United Nations, in the General Assembly. However, each state has 1 vote. So in the General Assembly, each country can send 5 members, but only 1 vote is allotted to each country. That means you might have 5 members, but 5 members cannot vote. Each country 1 vote, but there can be 5 members in the General Assembly. How decisions are taken. The decisions on important questions shall be made by 2/3 majority. 2/3 majority will vote and decide. These questions include the election of the non-permanent members of the Security Council, number 1. Second is the admission of new members to the United Nations. Number 3, suspension and expulsion of members. Then budgetary questions. Next is recommendations regarding the maintenance of international peace and security. So these are examples of some of the questions where a decision is taken by the 2/3 majority. Decisions on other questions are made by majority of the members present and voting. In other questions where the decision is made by the members who are present and who are voting. So this is how decisions at the General Assembly are taken. Now the functions. The functions of the Assembly are studied under few headings, such as deliberative functions, supervisory functions, financial functions, electoral functions, and things like that. So first is deliberative functions. The Assembly may discuss any question relating to peace and security. It has the power to make recommendations for the purpose of promoting international cooperation in political field as well as in economic, social, cultural and health field. So what is a deliberative function? Deliberative function means the Assembly will discuss questions relating to peace and security. It has the power to make recommendations for the purpose of promoting international cooperation in political field as well as in economic, social, cultural and health field. That is, the deliberative functions of the General Assembly of the UN. Then comes supervisory functions. The General Assembly regulates the working of other organs and agencies of the United Nations. There are other organs and agencies of the United Nations. Their working is supervised by the General Assembly. The General Assembly receives and considers report from the Security Council and other organs of the United Nations. The General Secretary is required to make an annual report to the General Assembly on the work of the United Nations. So these things come under the supervisory functions of the General Assembly. Then comes financial functions of the General Assembly. The General Assembly considers and approves the budget of the United Nations. So the budget is approved by the General Assembly. Then comes electoral functions. The Assembly elects non-permanent members of the Security Council and the members of the Economic and Social Council. So what does the General Assembly do under electoral function? It elects non-permanent members of the Security Council and members of the Economic and Social Council. It appoints the Secretary General upon the recommendations of the Security Council. Members of the International Court of Justice are elected by the General Assembly and by the Security Council. Then comes amending the UN Charter. Amending means making changes. The Assembly has the power to amend the Charter. Charter means Book of Rules. Amendments adopted by a vote of 2/3 of the members of the Assembly, not merely of those present and voting, need to be ratified by 2/3 of the member states, including all permanent members and the Security Council. So if there has to be an amendment, it has to be adopted by a vote of 2/3 of the members and need to be ratified, passed by 2/3 of the member states, including all permanent members of the Security Council. Then comes functions under Uniting for Peace resolution. With the adaptation of Uniting for Peace resolution in 1950, the position of Assembly has been considerably strengthened. So, how? If the Security Council is unable to reach a decision because of lack of unanimity among the permanent members, the General Assembly can deal with the problem. It can make recommendations for collective measures, including the use of armed forces in case of aggression or breach of peace. So the General Assembly can make recommendations for collective measures, which includes the use of armed forces in the case of aggression or breach of peace. Now comes Security Council. Security Council, its composition, Security Council is often described as the enforcement of executive wing of the United Nations. It enforces whatever decision is made in the General Assembly or the United Nations. It has the basic responsibility for maintenance of peace and security. It has got the basic responsibility of maintenance, peace and security. The Council consists of 15 members, 5 being permanent members, known as the Big Five: China, France, Russia, Britain, and the United States of America. And 10 non-permanent members are elected by General Assembly by 2/3 majority for a 2-year term. A retiring member is not eligible for immediate re-election. Now, how decisions are taken? Veto power. Each member of the Security Council has 1 vote, as we all know. Now, decisions on procedural matters, any decisions regarding procedural matters are made by an affirmative vote of 9 members. 9 members should vote yes. Decisions on all other matters shall be made affirmative vote of 9 members, including the concurring votes of permanent members. A negative vote by a permanent member is known as veto. So what is veto? If any permanent member votes negative, then it becomes a veto vote. This means that the council is powerless to act in the face of veto by any permanent member. But abstention from voting by a permanent member does not amount to a negative vote or veto. If a permanent member is absent during the voting procedure, it is not considered as a veto vote. The meetings of the Security Council are held once a month. However, in emergencies, the meeting can be held whenever they are needed. Powers and functions. The Charter casts upon the Security Council the primary responsibility for maintenance of international peace and security. The Council is vested with the following powers. What are the powers? Investigatory role, pacific settlement of dispute, measures not involving the use of armed forces, military action, admission of new members, electoral functions. First is investigatory role. The Security Council may investigate any dispute or situation which might lead to international friction. It may recommend appropriate methods for adjusting such disputes. So you can understand it investigates any dispute or situation which might lead to international friction. Pacific settlement of dispute. The Security Council will ask parties to a dispute to seek a solution by negotiation, mediation, arbitration, or peaceful means. That means when there are disputes between parties, between countries, the Security Council will suggest to solve it in an amicable or peaceful way. Measures not involving the use of armed forces. When none of the peaceful methods succeeds, the Council may decide what other measures can be employed. When peaceful methods fail, the Security Council thinks of any other measures which can be employed. These measures may include complete or partial interruption of economic relations, number 1, interruption of rail, sea, air, postal, and other means of communications, and severance of diplomatic relations. Diplomatic relations to be cut off, severed. The Council urges the members to apply these sanctions against an aggressor. Against an aggressor or against the attacking party or the angry party, against that party who is not agreeing to solve it in an amicable way, these measures can be taken. Now comes fourth is the military action. If these measures have proved to be inadequate, the Security Council can resort to military action. Such actions include operations by air, sea, or land forces supplied by member nations. This is military action, the last resort. Number 5 is admission of new members. New members are admitted by a 2/3 vote of the General Assembly upon the recommendations of Security Council. And the last function of the Security Council, according to this book, is electoral functions. The Security Council, number 1, participates in the election of judges of the International Court of Justice. Number 2, the Security Council in the electoral functions, the UN Secretary General is appointed by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council. So the United Nations Secretary General is appointed by the General Assembly, and it is recommended by the Security Council. And the Security Council may ask the International Court of Justice for advisory opinion on any legal matters. So with this we come to the end of two very important organs of the United Nations, namely the General Assembly and the Security Council. Then comes the International Court of Justice. The International Court of Justice is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. All members of the United Nations are ipso facto parties to the statute or rules of the court. Any other state may become a party of the statute on condition to be determined by General Assembly upon recommendation of the Security Council. That means all members are under the rule of the International Court of Justice. Any non-member can become a member if the conditions are suitable, which is determined by the General Assembly upon the recommendation of the Security Council. Composition. The court consists of 15 judges. The Security Council and the General Assembly each separately chooses 15 judges. Of these, those 15 persons who are chosen by a majority vote in both bodies are elected the judges of the court. No two judges can be nationals of the same state. From the same country, no two judges can be elected. If two persons of the same nationality are chosen, only the elder becomes the member of the court. If suppose two judges are chosen from the same country, the elder member becomes the member of the court. The court elects its president and vice president for a term of 3 years. They may, when their term expires, be re-elected. The court has the power to appoint its registrar. The judges are elected for a term of 9 years. However, they are eligible for re-election. The court is permanently in session at Hague in Netherlands, but it may sit elsewhere also. The session is held in Netherlands at The Hague. Okay. Powers and functions. For a sitting of the court, the quorum of judge is 9, but a smaller court may sit and hear certain classes of cases. Number 1 is compulsory jurisdiction. The court possesses compulsory jurisdiction in 2 ways. First, a large number of treaties provide that disputes arising under them would be submitted to the International Court. And secondly, the jurisdiction extends to the disputes pertaining to interpretation of international law and repatriation, that is compensation to be made for the breach of any international obligation. If the dispute arises in international law, it can be solved under the Court of Justice under compulsory jurisdiction. And repatriation. Repatriation means any compensation to be made when the international obligation or law is broken. Then comes voluntary jurisdiction. Its jurisdiction covers all cases which the parties referred to. Then comes advisory opinion. The General Assembly, the Security Council and other organs of the United Nations may request the court to give advisory opinion on any legal question. Then comes codification. Codification means collecting and compiling. That means the court has played an important role in codification of international law, compilation of international law in a proper way. It requires a thorough examination of international customs, judicial decisions, and general principles of law. Then comes evolving procedures for peaceful settlement of disputes. The court may suggest appropriate methods for settlement of disputes. Enforcement of judgment. The court has been able to resolve most of the disputes which has come up before it. The disputes related to the matters such as fishing rights on international waters, compensation to be paid in cases of aerial incidents and asylum's protection. Asylum means, over here means protection, given by government to foreigners who left their country. Each member of the United Nations has an obligation to comply with the decisions of the court in any case to which it is a party. So the members of the United Nations are obliged to follow the decisions of the International Court. If any party fails to fulfill its obligations, the other party may have recourse to the Security Council, may go. If any party fails to fulfill the obligation, the other party can seek help from the Security Council. The Council decides upon measures to be taken to give effect to the judgment. So what happens is, if any party or any country fails to fulfill the obligation, the other country can go to the Security Council. The Security Council will decide what measures will be taken. The other country will not go to the International Court of Justice. What happens in normal courts? So it will go to the Security Council. The Security Council will take measures to be taken to give effect to the judgment. So we have learnt about the General Assembly, the Security Council and the International Court of Justice. With this, we come to the end of this chapter, chapter 14, the United Nations Organization. Thank you very much.